Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again it is Sunday in time for the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. And man oh man, is this one a doozy. I think it is time for me and all of you to put our collective minds together, because we have the best channel on YouTube, and I know that all of my viewers and subscribers are the most astute, well-educated, well-rounded gun owners in the world. It is time for us to finally put this matter to rest. Which is better, the AK-47 or the AR-15? Well, there can be only one. And I'm sure no matter what the results are of this poll or what I say about each rifle, I'm gonna piss someone off. It's unavoidable. But anyway, I just want to be honest, and I want you guys to be honest too in your poll results. So let's dive right into this week's poll question. Since I have the most astute and enlightened subscribers on YouTube, I thought it was time we finally put our collective minds together and solve the great debate. After all, there can be only one. It is time to solve this once and for all. I am sure the comments on this one will be tame and everyone will agree. Which is the superior rifle, the AK or the AR? With 988 total votes cast, AK-47, the Russians at least got two things right: vodka and AKs, 16%. AR-15, American ingenuity and design at its finest, America, 67%. Both are great. I just did not want to make anyone upset or mad, 13%. And neither, something else is better. Tell me in the comment section below, 4%. Alright, so the results of this poll really didn't surprise me too much. I already knew the AR-15 was going to win. I know that most of the subscribers to my channel are probably more AR guys, and they're going to be more American viewers, and they're more familiar with the AR platform than they are the AK. I also fully well know that a lot of my AK videos in the past have been criticized by the hardcore AK guys. Whether I think that's legitimate or not, it's just the way it is and the way the AK community is. They have very strong opinions, and they even fight within themselves about what is a good AK, what's not a good AK. I just try to stay out of that and review the rifles and talk about the rifles as a casual gun guy sitting in his garage making YouTube content. That's what I am and what I do. But let's go through each one of these results and I'll give you my personal opinions. Let's start off, of course, with the AK-47. The AK, I think, is an artifact of its time. It was designed in the 1940s, and because of that, it is based off of many lessons learned by the Russian army in World War II. So we know that they were going up against guns like the Sturmgewehr 44, and they realized the efficiency of an assault rifle, or a storming rifle, I guess is what the Germans referred to it as, and an intermediate cartridge. And so this was a gun that was designed for that type of role. They realized that the battlefield was changing after World War II. So the nature of the intermediate cartridge that they came up with, the 7.62 by 39, in my opinion, is still a big projectile. It's still a big round, still using a 30 caliber pill, and it's just in a smaller case. The gun itself is simplistic, it's easy to use, you don't need a lot of training to understand its manual of arms. It is well built, it's robust, but it's also designed kind of in the Russian philosophy of it is cheap, if it breaks, you throw it away and you grab another one. These weren't really designed to be worked on in the field, and I know what a lot of people say between ARs and AKs. You assemble an AR, you build an AK. And I think in some ways that's one of the detriments to the AK design, that people in the field just can't repair these if you have major problems to certain aspects of the gun. If a barrel breaks on you, bends, or whatever, or is destroyed or has damage to it in a major battle, you just can't replace the barrel. You have to have rivet guns and presses and all that kind of stuff. With an AR-15, it can be done with just basic tools, wrenches, and punches. All that stuff can actually kind of be done in the field. But as I said, this was not designed to be a platform that could be worked on by soldiers. It was designed to be kind of a throwaway weapon. I know what people are saying, throwaway. No, I'm not saying it's junk. What I'm saying is there would be a ton of these. They could just be mass produced, on assembly lines, they would be essentially everywhere. People would just pick up the one that had fallen with the soldier that was next to you in battle, and you just kept going. But they were designed to be so robust that you're not going to have major problems. But they still had major problems. But I look at this as a fine battle implement. I think that it obviously has stood the test of time. It is on the flags of many nations, many countries around the world, especially COMBLOC countries and ones that have their heritage based in COMBLOC countries have used this design, and the Russians still use it to this day in some pattern. I think it's the AK-12 is what they refer to their modern rifle. Obviously, this is one that I have kind of assembled and built here. Uses some wood furniture, kind of going back to the old style looks of the 1950s of an old AKM. This actually is a Arsenal SLR 107R. Fantastic rifle. I think it's beautiful. But I think because of its initial design and when it was built, it's a fine balance between the old style and new style of guns. You still have steel and wood. It just has a very industrial look to it. I've kind of thought of it in many ways as kind of a steampunk gun. I know if you guys know what the steampunk art style is, it's always kind of reminded me of that. It's kind of a blend between the old and the new. I mean, you look at this and go, that is a modern rifle. It is very different than many things that came before it, but you have elements like the wood, the steel, that it just has a particular aesthetics of older style guns. It's a beautiful blend. It's just a really cool, well-built gun. I don't enjoy them as much because I can't customize them as much. They require a lot more machining. They require a lot more hand fitting for parts, including hand guards, sometimes even magazines, bolts, bolt carriers. Not all the parts are 100% interchangeable. And I also think that's kind of a detriment to its design. But it is well built, well engineered, and as I said, has served the test of time. So next up we have the AR-15, American ingenuity and design at its finest, America. Well, this is a gun that I know many Americans, especially people that have served in the United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, they're extremely fond of because it's the gun that they know. And I know this was not a popular gun when it came out in the 1950s and 60s, but it has a completely different philosophy of use than the AK. I've talked about this in previous videos. And to me, that's one of its strengths. It wasn't designed necessarily for a soldier that is unequipped and untrained to be able to pick it up and use. This is designed for a much better trained soldier. And by that, I don't mean that this is a more complicated rifle to use. It just has a different philosophy of use. Now, we know that the modern AKs use 5.45 by 39. It's kind of a modernized version of the 7.62. It's a smaller projectile, and I think it's designed more to match the 5.56 that these are chambered in, 5.56 by 45. And I think just the fact that they chose that round, a 22 caliber projectile over a 30 caliber projectile, also kind of talks about the use of this rifle, where I think the AK is designed more for just kind of mass attacks, just kind of laying down a lot of firepower. The American philosophy of a rifleman has always been one shot, one kill. And so while the M16, of course, is either burst or full auto, it's really designed for more precision shooting. Now, I know a lot of guys that like the AK are going to say you can get a lot of accuracy out of AKs, and I completely agree with you. I'm not saying that they're not accurate guns, but accuracy was not one of the important elements that went into the AK, but it did go into the AR. One of the things too about the AR, and I think this is just a coincidence, is that due to the design, that it has been able to be modularized and modernized over time. So you still have the same kind of chassis, the internals when it comes to the lower receiver, the nature of how the bolt carrier and the bolt operate, the gas impingement system. Just the design of the rifle has allowed it to be changed over time to more effective means on the battlefield. And so today we have gas driven piston systems, we have quad rails, we have different types of handguards, we have different length barrels, and I know what you're saying, the AK has that too. I agree. But you have to admit that the modularity of the M16 or the AR-15 platform is much more versatile than that of the AK. And I think some of it has to do with the nature of the receiver, the size of the receiver, how the manual of arms works. You don't have a big lever on the side of the receiver like you do on the AK for the safety, the selector. It's just, I think it's a more simplistic design from that standpoint, and it has all these different options when it comes to attachment points. This particular example, it has a carry handle, but we know that a lot of the ones today will have a flat top upper, allowing you to mount optics. You don't have to worry about zeroing. On AKs, when you have the dust cover, it can wobble. I know there's different systems for mounting optics. There's the side rails, there's the top covers that are kind of not bolted down, but they're a lot more secure, but they're still having to find ways of engineering the rails so they could be used effectively with optics. The ARs never really had that problem. Yeah, it went through some growing pains, but it's also become a symbol of freedom throughout the world. I mean, the Americans used it, and it's been adopted by many other countries. And I think the reason it won the poll here isn't necessarily because it is the best rifle, it's just because it's the one that most people are familiar with, and because of its modularity in design. You can have people at home with just basic tools assemble these, repair these, work on these, customize these. They're kind of like Legos for adults. And so that type of customization has made it the most popular rifle in America. All right, so now the next one. Both are great. Now this is actually the one that I would have voted for. And the reason I would have voted for this is because I look at comparing the AK and the AR as comparing apples and oranges. To me, they're not even on the same playing field. They're just too different. The philosophy of use is too different. The times in which they were built, they were too different. Yes, the guns have gone head to head in a number of conflicts ever since these guns were invented and found themselves on the battlefield. But they just come from two different places. The designers had two different things in mind. And so the way that I look at this would be comparing a modern Corvette against maybe a 1980 Firebird. They're both really cool cars. They were just designed at different times for different purposes, for different people. So you really can't compare the two. They both have a lot of pros, and they have a couple of cons on each. I personally like the AR more, but it's because I'm more familiar with it. But I think both of them are pretty awesome. And now let's get to the last one. Neither. Something else is better. Tell me in the comment section below. I actually had a lot of comments when I looked through them talking about other rifles. And in a way, I kind of agree that maybe there are better things now. Just like I said, these guns were designed in a different time for a different purpose. Well, a lot has happened since the 1950s. I've talked in previous videos how the U.S. Air Force is still running B-52 bombers that were built in the 50s. We're going to have airframes potentially going 100 years in U.S. service. It's because the design of the B-52 was so well thought out and it was so modular that they're able to adapt it to today's modern battlefield. It is just an exceptional plane. However, we know that if a company had enough money, they could probably design a better heavy bomber, cheaper and better than the B-52. But there just hasn't been a necessity for it. Other countries have put out different rifles, designed different rifles. Some have been more successful than others. Some have been unsuccessful, but a lot of people would say that was an absolutely outstanding gun, much like the AR-15. So that's my personal thoughts on this right here. I hope I didn't tick anybody off. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of angry comments. But speaking of comments, let's now get to the top rated comments of this week's poll. And our top rated comment of the week comes from Trained Fine, who says, neither. Nothing beats my service rifle, the SIG 550. Well, all I can say is that is one fine rifle. In fact, there's someone around here that I know imports variations of it, and one of my dealer friends and SOT friends has a couple of really fine examples. In fact, he has an SBR in 7.62. When I saw that thing he had, oh man, I want one of those so bad. But that is a fantastic firearm. Wow. Yes, and I do agree. That is awesome. Is it better than the AR or the AK? I don't know, but it might be. And then next up we have CM, who says, love them both. Shooting cheap steel case is pleasing, but America's rifle is just so well-rounded. And I think that's kind of the general consensus. It might not be the greatest rifle ever designed, but it definitely is well-rounded. It is super versatile. It can be chambered in many different calibers. It can be used for many different purposes, from hunting all the way up to military service. Then next up we have Calvin Cameron, who says 3 words, and I hope I pronounced these correctly. Fusil automatique léger, I guess. I don't know. I don't speak Belgian, but I know that is the FAL. One time known as the right arm of the free world. That is definitely a gun I would love to get a chance to shoot one day, and I'd love to have one in my collection. Yeah, those are pretty darn awesome as well. Then we have John Nail, who says the Galil Ace is the best of the best in my experience. Now, the Galil Ace, of course, is a modern version of the AK. So that might be a vote for the AK, or it might be a vote for something else. I don't know which way he voted, but yeah. And then finally we have Kevin W, who says, love both, but the AR has my heart. And there you go. Just probably another American voter just like myself. We just love our ARs. It's America's most popular rifle, and I think for a reason. So there you go. So that is the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. Did we finally resolve it once and for all? I don't think so. But who knows? Maybe someone's mind got changed. Maybe some people will look at the rifles differently. I don't know. I doubt it. I think everyone has already decided which is better, which one they like more or less. They're both awesome, awesome guns. I mean, just look at them. They're just so much fun to shoot. And I will tell you that I'm so blessed to live in a nation, in a state where I'm allowed to own these things. I shouldn't even say allowed, because it's my God-given right. But the state doesn't infringe upon my right to own these things. These things are just incredible rifles. I love and respect the designers and the designs and the function of both these awesome firearms. And of course, they have major influences on a lot of guns that have come after. So that's it, the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week, number 18. I know the poll question said number 17. However, it is number 18. I made a typo in last week's poll, and once it's published, I can't edit it. So anyway, next week will be number 19, and it should be released the moment this video comes out. So go over to my community tab on my YouTube channel, check out the next Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. Vote for whatever the option is that you like. I don't even know what the question is going to be. I'll have to come up with something maybe a little bit less controversial than this week, but maybe it could be something fun. It could always be something firearms related, EDC related. Who knows? Could be serious, could be fun, could be a joke. No one knows until I figure it out, usually on Sunday morning. So thank you guys so much for voting, liking other people's comments. It is really cool. As I always say, this is one of my favorite segments to film every single week. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.